Now that we've completed our setup in the settings window and turned on our stats, we can start to see the main UI for their Playout tab. At the top, you'll see two windows, a preview window and a program window. The preview window is highlighted in green, while the program window is highlighted in red. Next to each of these windows, you'll find an icon that will allow you to toggle Smart Zoom. This will allow you to zoom into the graphic without changing the actual output. The output to your switcher will be at the full format. This just ensures that the operator has a closer view to what graphics they're displaying. Many of our interfaces on all of our sport apps are going to have a similar UI and experience, all of which are going to have the left side being identical. The center side will be similar, and the right side is typically where most of the change happens depending on the sport. Each of the applications will have a header message. You can simply drop down to select the header message, and you can send it to preview or program depending on where your graphic is currently located. To edit the message, click on Edit Messages, click on New Message, and you can type in your information while giving it a label that you'll see in the drop-down. Next, depending on the production and the graphic setup, you might be able to support stat sliders. In this case, for ESPN basketball, stat sliders are supported, and I can go ahead and preview that, and it slides out for that particular team. Next, going down the list is going to be our go to break graphic. This is a specific graphic assigned to the score bug that's accompanied with that graphic in the event of going and coming from a break. By clicking preview, it will remove the graphic off air, the score bug off air, and bring in the go to break graphic. By removing it, it will remove the graphic and bring in our score bug back on air. Our network logos and sponsor logos are located below that. Utilizing the folders we spoke about in the MAM folder, we can select and add different network and sponsor logos there. If you were to add a new logo into those folders, go ahead and close the app and reopen it to refresh it from the drop-down window here. Next, we'll move into the center section. This is typically period and clock information for that corresponding sport app. In this case, basketball, we have our period information, our game clock, and our shot clock. Right now, the buttons are disabled because we're bringing this information automatically from our controller feed. In the event that I want to control this manually from this section, I can click on this three-dot kebab menu and select manual, and now I have complete control of the period information. The same goes for the game clock. If I want to run the game clock manually, I can come in here, disable the feed, and I have manual controls for this panel here. To the right of that, we're going to have our scoring information, timeouts, bonus, and possession. If we're in a separate sport, such as football, we'll find flag and penalty information also in this section. Down at the bottom are quick action buttons. From here, we can select insert graphics that we're going to utilize quite often and be able to have them at our disposal for quick reference. And this panel to the left of that will show us any insert graphics that we might currently have on air, either in preview or program, and from here we can clear all those graphics. Next, we're going to take a look at our Stat Editor tab, located down at the bottom. From here, we can add stat sliders and create those stat sliders in this left section. In the right section, you'll find player stats divided into two parts, your visitor player and home player. If we want to see our team stats, we can click on the Team Stat tab and we can see the stats for those corresponding teams. Now let's focus on the left-hand side. Let's create a new player stat slider. From here, we'll have the ability to label that stat slider for easier recognition in the drop-down. So we'll label this player stat 1. We'll select what team that player is on, which player from the visiting team, and what stats we want to display. By default, you'll have points and rebounds in this particular package, but we can also label this anything we want that we have access to here in the stat grid. So we're going to go ahead and preview our graphic, and we're going to see that Chelsea Whitaker is displaying 0 points and 5 rebounds. This information is coming from these stat tags. You can see inside of curly braces, we have PTS, which will give us our points value, and to the right of that, we're going to have RB, which will give us our rebound values. Anytime we have these stat column headers inside the curly braces, that will ensure that we get the value for that particular stat. So if I wanted to display minute information for this particular player, I can come in here and type in open curly brace MIN and close it, and I'll get a value for that particular player. I'm going to hit refresh, and you can see that this particular player has 32 minutes in the game, and now I can hard code the value of minutes, and you'll see it refresh there. If I change the team and I select a player from the home team, you'll see my slider now comes to the other side. The new player that's selected is being displayed, and this player has 9 points with 0 rebounds and 15 minutes in the game. Next, we'll move into a team stat. Select the team stat slider. Right now, we'll call this a visitor team stat. We'll select a visiting team, and right now we're going to display turnovers for that specific team. I'm going to select that slider from the drop down and select visitor team, and you can see that our visiting team has 12 turnovers. Again, the stats tags work the same as they did inside the player information. Any of these headers can be used as a stat tag to provide the corresponding value for that specific team or player. Next, we're going to add a team comparison stat slider. We'll click on the icon, and here you'll see that we'll be displaying points in the paint. I'm going to select it from our stat slider dropdown, and I'll preview that. Right now, currently, both teams don't have any points in the paints, so we're going to select a different stat such as rebounds, and we're going to see the total rebounds for each team is 50 for the visitor and 22 for the home team. Here we can see we have 50 rebounds for the visiting team and 22 for the home team. Please be aware that not all packages support stat sliders. Please refer to that support document located in the Insert Graphics folder on whether or not this specific graphic package supports stat sliders.